So what you'll need for this project is a sponge like this, a staple gun or stapler that you can go straight directly into wood with, a wooden board such as this, and a little bit of water. What you're going to be doing is stretching your watercolor paper. You're going to end up with a paper that's flat on a board such as this. You can see it here. And to do that, you need to size it or stretch it, which means that you get it wet on both sides and staple it to your wooden board. So I have a piece of paper here that I'm going to put on my board. I've got my sponge, as you can see, right there. And I've got a little bowl of water here that I'm getting my sponge wet in. So notice that I have, there we go. Notice that I have a board ready to go. So I'm going to go back and forth and get my sponge wet. Don't worry about dripping water. Remember, it's only water. There's nothing in it. There's no paint in it. You're just going to go back and forth on your paper like this. And then you're going to go the other direction. If you need to dip again, you want to get your paper completely wet. So that's why you're going two different directions. And you're going to be generous with the water, okay? Don't worry about getting it too wet. You can't get it too wet. And you're going to flip your paper over, lay it back down on the board, and do the same thing on the other side. Got your little bit of water on your sponge, and then just go back and forth on the paper like this. Oh, I'm going to get it a little bit more wet. Don't worry if you drip some water. Remember, it's just water. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay, so you want to try to get complete coverage. Then you do the same thing, make the same passes in the opposite direction, so you make sure you have the whole thing covered. Okay, then make sure you squeeze out your sponge so it can dry. Okay, then you're going to take your staple gun and you're going to staple your paper onto your board. So start in the middle. Notice that I'm going to start right here. I'm going to put a staple in the middle. I'm going to go to the opposite side, staple it there. I'm going to smooth it out to this end, staple it there, and do the same thing on this end. Kind of give it a little smoothing and staple it there. Okay, so then from here I go out from the edge and I'm going to staple. You don't need to have too many, but you also don't want to have too few. So I'm going to kind of smooth it out, staple here, whoops, and there we go. I'm smoothing it out here, and another staple here, and then I'll do one on the corner there. Same thing on this side. I'm going to staple over here, and then I'll get one on the corner here. And then I'll do the same thing up here. I'm kind of going out from the center. Look how I'm trying to work pretty fast. Notice I'm not slowing down here too much. I'm just stapling right along. Remember not to try to staple your finger. Okay. I'm just working out from the edge. And then when I get to the end, I'm doing a couple extra staples on the ends. All right, there we go. All right, so now I've got my paper stapled onto my board. You'll notice it looks a little wrinkly. I'm going to try to hold it up to the light to kind of turn it so you can see that there's some wrinkles in it. Now this needs to sit and dry for about 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes if it's damp out, it could even take longer. Okay, but you can see there's definitely some wrinkles in it. And maybe you'll see it from the side right there. You can see some wrinkles kind of coming along. Those will flatten out. This is why it's called stretching your paper. When it gets wet, it wrinkles up. The reason you want to stretch it like this is because once it's stretched out and you paint on it, it will stay flat. If you don't stretch it, you run the risk of painting on it and having it be all wavy like this, and then you can't frame it. It'll be too bumpy to frame and it won't ever really flatten out. So stretching it before you paint on it is your first step. It's called sizing your paper, and it makes it so that it stays flat so that when you make your masterpiece, you're able to frame it up.